Hello, you're watching the business headlines on HW News with me, Ali Azhar. If there's one sector out there that's extremely competitive in nature, and like the law of the jungle, only the fittest survive, it's the telecom sector. And thinking about it, the only other one that comes to mind offhand in terms of competitiveness is probably the airline sector. Both these are extremely regulated, capital intensive, therefore risky, and subject to intense competition. In the past few years, we've witnessed many casualties in these industries, and big names at that. The Naresh Goyal-led Jet Airways, the Vijay Mallya-led Kingfisher Airlines, then the Anil Ambani-led Reliance Communications, Aircel, Telenor, Loop Mobile, and of course, ones that are nearly on the verge of extinction, such as the Telecom twins, on which our episode is based today. Just to give you an example of how uncertain doing business in the telecom sector is, the Supreme Court on Thursday ruled in favor of the government and ended more than a decade-old battle, 14 years to be precise, and slapped a fine of 92,000 crores on telecom service providers. The verdict was related to something defined as adjusted gross revenue or AGR, which is used to calculate spectrum charges and license fees. The telecom operators are liable to pay a certain percentage of their adjusted gross revenue to the telecom department. Now, these operators argue that only revenue from core businesses should be used in calculating this AGR. However, the government insisted that it should include all revenues, including non-core revenues. Therefore, this verdict now allows the government to recover 92,642 crore rupees from the already financially stressed telecom industry. And the worst part of this is that out of this total amount of 92,642 crores, only 23,189 crores is the balance license fee outstanding. The remaining 69,453 crores is interest, penalty, and interest on penalty. And on top of all of this, I don't need to tell you how much further disruption the new kid on the block is causing the incumbent players. Yes, I'm talking about the Mukesh Ambani-led Reliance Jio that has embarked upon a brutal tariff war with the likes of Vodafone-Idea and Bharti Airtel. Besides, mounting debt to the tune of 4 lakh crores or 4 trillion rupees has plagued the industry. But that's a story for another day. So that's a brief on the sector as a whole. Now, let's get to the two telecom twins that have been making the news lately, BSNL and MTNL. As you probably already know, both these companies are government-owned or PSUs, with MTNL operating in Mumbai and Delhi and BSNL operating throughout the country. The twins serve as a benchmark of how poorly managed our state-owned enterprises are. BSNL, which is an unlisted firm, has accumulated losses of over 90,000 crores till date, out of which a 14,000 crore rupee loss has been incurred just last financial year in 2018-19. MTNL, which is by the way a listed company and is much smaller in size, has an accumulated loss in excess of 10,000 crores and has also racked up a debt of 20,000 crores on its balance sheet. Obviously, something needed to be done. So basically, the government had three options: disinvest or privatize it, shut it down, or, and this is the option they chose, merge it into a single entity. So, in an effort to turn around the money-losing firms, which it considers core assets, the government on 23rd October approved and announced a merger of the two sickly telecom units in an effort to revive them. A package of nearly 70,000 crore rupees was proposed for this purpose. But the real question is, does the government genuinely believe that these entities can be turned around into useful contributors to the sector? That said, now let's delve into the specifics of the two firms. What makes up the bulk of the cost for the telcos is employee or staff expenses. You'll be shocked to know that while private telcos spend around 5% of their total expenditure on staff cost, for BSNL and MTNL, it works out to be in excess of 70% of their total cost. This shows an excess manpower being employed in the two PSUs. BSNL has around 1,76,000 employees, while MTNL employs a workforce of 22,000. Perhaps this is the reason why the government would have been reluctant to shut down the companies. Then, moving on to the revival package. It should come at no surprise that the biggest chunk of the resources would be allocated towards employees. In an effort to reduce its surplus staff, the two firms are proposed to be allocated 29,937 crore rupees for Voluntary Retirement Scheme or VRS, which is a generous tax-free severance package to persuade them to voluntarily retire from the company. This scheme is expected to cover 50% of the employees and would go a long way in helping the firms reduce costs in the future. Then, 15,000 crores worth of funds will be raised via an issue of sovereign bonds, which should be guaranteed by the central government. Further, both the companies will be allotted 4G spectrum at discounted prices, pegged to be at 2016 auction value. An amount of 20,140 crores has been earmarked for this purpose. Also, 3,674 crores would be allotted for GST to be levied on allocation of radio waves. And last but not least, assets, which include huge land banks and rental properties, worth 38,000 crores will be monetized over the next 4 years. So, with that out of the way, the question still looms large is whether or not BSNL and MTNL should be privatized instead of merged. The starting point of this debate should be that the success of a company in the telecom sector depends upon its pricing and quality of service. And these days, it's now become more of a service provision game. In that context, public sector units will always lose to their private sector counterparts that are inherently more responsive to customers. The government's justification is that these two companies are strategic assets and have been playing an important role in helping the government coping with natural calamities and managing army networks. Another case for privatization is it would create a level playing field for everyone, in the sense that currently the government is footing the bill for spectrum charges. The government is giving guarantee against which the two telcos are raising funds. So this is deeply unfair to private players who have incurred massive amounts of debt to buy spectrum and incur other costs. And if we face facts, BSNL and MTNL cannot be turned around without taxpayers shelling out massive amounts of money. We can take an example from the aviation industry, where constant backing for Air India led to the entire aviation sector getting distorted, which drove two premier airlines out of business. The real question should be, is this what the government wants to do to the telecom industry as well? Thank you for watching HW News. This is me signing off. Have a great day.